Hello everyone and welcome to Out of Bounds Legendary Athletes. While we all love to see extraordinary performances during World Championships and Olympic Games, there is one event that surpasses them all in terms of emotions, a world record. In this first episode, I am going to present to you the story of a very special discipline. Today's story will take us through 200 years of history, 2 world wars and 108 broken records. Athletes triumphed, others got injured, international federations clashed, and one of the greatest directors of the 20th century made a documentary about it, which he considers as one of his greatest works. This is the story of the world's longest ski jump. Before we begin, I would like to warn you that the video contains a few falls, although none were fatal or crippling. Let's get started. Legend has it that Danish-Norwegian officer Oberstdorf was the first one to successfully jump 10 meters in 1808 in the village of Eidsberg. I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to the Norwegians who are watching this video for my pronunciation of the names of your compatriots, as I do not speak your language. Back to ski jumping. A few jumps were officially recorded after that of Oberstdorf. The first ski jumping hills are developed at the end of the 19th century, in parallel with the development of modern sport. Husebirenet was one of the very first ski jumping competitions in history. It was held annually in Ullern between 1879 and 1891. It is during this competition that the first jump over 20 meters was made by Olaf Haugan on the Hauglikbakken hill. While the distance of a jump relies on many factors, as we will see, one of the most important of them is the ski jumping hill. It defines the maximum distance of a jump. Indeed, a landing can only be carried out with a certain inclination. The steeper the hill, the easier the reception will be. Hills are therefore shaped so that the steepest part corresponds to the landing point. This is called the K-point or construction point, Konstruktionspunkt in German. The farther one lands from this point, the flatter the landing, and the more perilous it will be. World records are therefore usually landing a few meters away from the K-point. Here lies, in my opinion, one of the fascinating aspects of ski jumping world records, later called ski flying. We'll come back to that. Although the goal is to jump as far as possible, anyone jumping too far from the K-point will face a brutal fall. German director Werner Herzog explains the risk of jumping too far in his brilliant documentary The Great Ecstasy of Woodcarver Steiner.
Diese Markierung ist tatsächlich eine Grenze, wo das Schiefliegen anfängt, unmenschlich zu werden. Walter Steiner ist in sehr großer Gefahr gewesen, denn wäre er nur 10 Meter weiter geflogen, dann wäre er hier in der Ebene gelandet und man muss sich etwa vorstellen, dass er aus 110 Meter Höhe abgestürzt wäre auf eine ebene Fläche. Er wäre sicherlich tot.
As we have seen, ski jumping is as much about performance as it is about jumping hills. In the 1890s, the hill with the farthest K-point was no longer in Norway. A wave of Norwegian immigration to the United States started in the 1870s. The number of Norwegian Americans increased from 13,000 in 1850 to around 1 million in 1910. The Norwegians brought their traditions with them, amongst which their winter sports. The South Bush Street Ski Hill was built in Red Wing, Minnesota in 1890 by Norwegian immigrants. The 30 meters and 100 feet records were beaten on this hill by the Hemmelsvik brothers. The competitions are gradually standardized and the meter replaces the Norwegian alen as the main unit of length. In the absence of reliable means of measurement, the spectators closest to the landing raise their arms to determine the distance of a jump. The first notation systems were implemented in 1901. The score of a jump becomes the combination of distance and style. Ski jumping becomes an Olympic sport at the first Winter Games in 1924. The Norwegian Ski Federation is skeptical towards those new Winter Games, fearing losing control of the organization of Nordic sports. The International Ski Federation is indeed trying to fix the image of dangerous sport that ski jumping acquired over the years. It was seen as what we would call an extreme sport in modern English. The International Ski Federation issues rules demanding that no newly built jumping hill exceed 70 meters at the K-point, while some hills are already over 80 meters, such as the Bretagne Hill in Switzerland, on which 3 world records of 84, 86 and 87 meters were set by Sigmund Ruud from Norway and Henri Rouchet from Switzerland. The new K70 limitation stirs up disputes between the ski jumping federations, which were worsened by the explosive international political situation of the 1930s. While the International Ski Federation reiterates its intention to ban long jumping hills, the Yugoslav and Italian federations decide to build new jumping hills with the aim of pushing the world record. Ski jumping competitions attract huge crowds, sometimes over 100,000 spectators. Ski jumping, which is performed on mountainsides and visible at 180 degrees, allows the organizers to attract a lot of public without having to build expensive infrastructures. A new world record is set on the Italian hill Trampolino Gigante Corno d'Aula by Fritz Kainersdorfer from Switzerland, only 50 centimeters shy of the 100 meters mark. On the same day, Olaf Uland from Norway is about to make a historic jump. He lands over the 100 meters mark, but fails, and his jump is not recognized. It is not in Italy but in Yugoslavia, in present-day Slovenia, on the Blotkova Velikanka ski jumping hill, that the 100-meter record will be broken by Josef Pradl from Austria. The hill at Planica has been enlarged several times, in violation of the rules of the International Ski Federation. Pradl breaks the record once again 2 years later with a 107 meters jump, only 3 days after the annexion of Austria by Nazi Germany. The confrontation between Planica and the International Ski Federation results in the creation of a new discipline, ski flying. Pradl's records are not recorded as ski jumping, and new world records on the newly created ski flying hills will now be counted separately. The split between ski jumping and ski flying allows Pradl to participate in the Nordic Jump World Championships, which he won in 1939. From the 1930s onwards, ski flying will be practiced on bigger and bigger hills. During World War II and after the invasion of Yugoslavia by Nazi Germany in 1941, only athletes from the Axis countries will have access to Planica. This is the case of Rudi Gering, who broke one of the only world records during the war. As all international competitions were cancelled, he achieved 2 world records of 108 and then 118 meters at Planica. The newly created ski flying competitions also contain a technical note, just like ski jumping. These are not counted towards the world record, however. The jump is valid as long as no part of the body of the athlete touches the ground or the skis. Technical notations still impact the way of jumping, however, since only certain techniques are considered acceptable amongst athletes. Until the 1940s, the Kongsberger technique was the norm, where jumpers put their hands in the air, sometimes by making circular movements with their arms. This technique was used until World War II and was used to break the 100 meters barrier. In 1949, German jumper Erich Alfred Windisch perfected the technique by placing his arms on the side of his body. The Windisch technique was improved in the 1950s, with the body position closer to the skis. This technique is called Decha after Andreas Decha, who achieved a new world record of 130 meters in 1950. He achieved this performance on the brand new ski flight hill of Oberstdorf, West Germany. While these new techniques allow jumpers to go farther and farther, they are also making the sport increasingly dangerous. A series of world records are set on the new Oberstdorf ski flying hill, the only one to be able to compete with Planica since the 1930s. The last record of the decade was set by Tauno Lyuro from Finland in 1951 at a distance of 139 meters. Ski flying experienced a huge drop in popularity during the 1950s. The situation will change drastically with the ski flying hill war of the 1960s. 2 mountainsides see the greatest jumpers in the world beat each other's records. Planica, whose K-point is pushed back more and more to allow bigger jumps, and Oberstdorf, whose fame is due to the brilliant architect and former jumper Heini Klopfer, who conceived over 250 ski jump hills. The Oberstdorf hill has been renamed after Heini Klopfer since his passing in 1968. Driven by the popularity of Josef Pradl, the first man over 100 meters, Austria also built a ski flying hill in 1950 in Bad Mittendorf on the Kulm hill. Even though Planica and Oberstdorf remain the main hills for world records, Kulm, a favorite spot for East German jumpers, held the world record on 3 occasions in 62, 65 and 85. Norway came back to the ski flying game in 1965 in Vikersund, where the ski jumping hill has been lengthened with a new K-point at a whopping 150 meters. A theoretical maximum jump over 150 meters on wooden skis attached by leather straps, without a helmet and almost no notions of aerodynamics. A total of 17 world records were broken in the 1960s. On February 10, 1967, Norwegian Lars Grini broke the world record with a jump of 147 meters. Sweden's Kjell Sundbäck beat it a few minutes later with a 148 meters jump. Grini, now an ex-world record holder, went back on the hill the next day. 150 meters. Grini put his name back on top, with a new barrier broken. In 1969, the Planica hill moved to be able to compete with the increasing K-points of Oberstdorf and Vikersund. From 1950 to 1970, the world record went from 120 to 165 meters, without many technological advancements. The pressure to set new world records is growing, regardless of the security of the jumpers, even when they warn organizers of the distance between the K-point and the world record, which is getting dangerously high. Walter Steiner describes the situation after a fall in Planica.
Ich sage denen was und sie lachen mich nur aus und sagen, ich studiere zu weit. Dabei wäre das alles nicht nötig. Das wäre Skifliegen ginge alles, wenn man auf einen Mann horchen würde und das bin ich. Das darf ich schon sagen, wenn ich sowas leiste. Aber sobald ich den Mund auftue, dann heißt es, ich studiere zu viel oder ich schwatze Käse und da muss ich es beweisen und beweisen ist verdammt nicht lustig. Ist verdammt nicht lustig. Ja, ich habe schon in Oberstdorf bewiesen und sie haben es auch da nicht geglaubt. Sie sagen nur immer, ich studiere zu weit, aber muss ich zuerst den Kopf brechen, bevor ich glaube.
Steiner's complaints were listened to after his falls on the flat at Planica and Oberstdorf. Both hills were reshaped and their K-points pushed back, which greatly reduced the amount of landings on the flat until the 2000s, when technological advancements allowed landings on increasingly flatter slopes. I would like to take this opportunity to recommend once again the documentary The Great Ecstasy of Woodcarver Steiner by Werner Herzog for anyone interested in ski jumping. After his fall, Steiner jumped once again, starting lower than his opponents on the in-run. Steiner tied the world record with a 169-meter pristine jump. Following Steiner's fall and other accidents, the International Ski Federation, which had regained control over ski flying since the end of World War II, made the wearing of helmets mandatory in 1979. Despite better safety measures, ski flying competitions remained dangerous, as was the case at the 9th World Ski Flying Championships in 1986, where 3 jumpers, Japanese Masahiro Akimoto, East German Ulf Windeisen, and Norwegian Rolf Agerberg suffered violent falls due to the strong wind. In 1980, a new ski flying hill was built in Čerták, Czechoslovakia, bringing the amount of ski flying hills to 5 with Planica, Vikersund, Bad Mitterndorf and Oberstdorf. These 5 hills are the only ones used by the sport to this day, although fewer competitions are run in Čerták because the hill tends to be the windiest of all 5. The next revolution in the world of ski flying will not come from hill architects, but from Formula 1 engineers. The world of skiing closely follows the innovations of the world of motorsports, and especially that of Formula 1. In the 1960s, when fiberglass started being used instead of steel to build the car's chassis, Jean-Claude Killy won 3 gold medals with the help of skis made partly in fiberglass, which was lighter than wood. A new revolution took place in the 1980s with carbon fiber. The first carbon car to win a Formula 1 title was the MP42 of yet another legendary Austrian athlete, Niki Lauda. All cars followed suit, and carbon fiber became the material for building high-performance chassis. Once again, the ski world took inspiration from motor racing and created lighter and more shock-resistant skis, which decreased the risks and allowed for longer jumps. The world record goes from 176 meters in 1980 to 194 meters in 1987. While the resistance of the skis is of paramount importance in the development of ski flying, another discipline will allow a jumper to reach new length. While aerodynamics were primarily implemented by the aviation industry, motorsports played a major role in its newfound application in sports at the end of the 20th century. The cigar-shaped cars of the 1950s gradually turned into inverted airplane wings that sucked the cars to the ground. A lot of these advancements can be attributed to Colin Chapman, inventor of the Lotus team. Aerodynamic tests are performed in wind tunnels, which rapidly become essential for the development of sports in which air drag plays an important factor, which is of course the case for ski flying. New techniques are being invented using the tools developed by the motorsport industry, such as the V-style jump, popularized by Swedish jumper Jan Bockloff. First ridiculed by the public and penalized by the judges for his unorthodox style, Wind tunnel studies showed that his technique offered a better wind resistance for performing longer jumps. From the beginning of the 1990s, the vast majority of jumps and flights are done using the V-style. In addition, the Ski Flying World Cup was added in 1990, allowing for more jumps and thus more world records attempted during a season. The increasing number of competitions and the new popularity of the discipline in new regions, notably in Japan, brought new life to ski flying after the end of the Cold War. While it took 33 years to see the record go from 50 to 100 meters and 31 years to reach the 150 meter mark, it only took 27 years to reach the 200 meters. In 1994, in Planica at the Ski Flying World Championships, the weather conditions seemed ideal to break a new world record. On the first day, Austrian Andreas Goldberger attempted a jump over 200 meters. 202 meters. Unfortunately for him, Goldberger sat on his skis. The jump is not valid. A few minutes later, a new competitor arrives. A symbol of the convergence between ski jumping and ski flying that has gradually taken place since the early 1990s, it is legendary Finnish jumper Toni Nieminen, double Olympic champion in ski jumping in 1992, who performed the 203 meters jump, almost 20 meters beyond the K point. Ski flying might well be the only discipline in which the world record increases more and more rapidly. It took only 21 years to reach 250 meters, with a jump from Slovenian Peter Prec in Vikersund. Prec became the first Slovenian to hold the world record in 67 years, and is the first since the country's independence from Yugoslavia. The record has since been broken twice and stands at 253.5 meters by Austrian Stefan Kraft. The world record did not count in the score of Kraft during this competition because of the reception, which earned him a poor score from the judges. It was the only meeting of the season that Stefan Kraft did not win. Here lies, in my opinion, one of the most fascinating contradictions of modern ski flying. To attempt a world record, one must accept losing the competition. Unlike other world records, ski flying does not seem to know any limits. A forefather of extreme sports, ski flying is now ruled by the same federation which tried to ban its existence in the 1930s. It went from a hothead discipline to a highly technological competition, managed in the smallest details, right down to the newly introduced ceramic ramps. While the Norwegian officer Olaf Rie, the woodcarver Walter Steiner, and the professional jumper Stefan Kraft don't seem to have much in common, they all put their names in a story that will exist as long as men will strive to fly further. Whether you find their quest fascinating or futile, grand or paltry, I hope you enjoyed their story. Thank you very much for watching this video. The research for this episode took a lot longer than expected, so please leave a like if you enjoyed it. I plan to cover other world records beside the usual sport documentaries on the channel, so feel free to hit the bell to get notifications for my next videos. Also, please feel free to tell me in the comments which world records you would like to see featured here. In the meantime, I wish you an excellent day and see you soon on Out of Bounds, Legendary Athletes.